go, boy.
And welcome back to Let's Get Gritty Podcast, Episode 5, where we are going to discuss Seattle Round 11, which was Saturday, March 29th, 2025. Weather conditions were quite the issue for this weekend. Gloomy, damp, wet, rainy, and the track conditions, to me, it looked clumpy, chunky, and just there was little light puddles.
Qualifying went as usual with that type of race, I believe was the fastest, and basically just got slower after that. And to be honest, it held up better in the races than we thought.
So during qualifying, they had announced there was no free practice. And a lot of people that watched the count of the numbers were wondering what was going on because nothing was updated, nothing was changed. So practice being canceled was unusual. And then we had the announcement that Jason Anderson withdrew from the Seattle race due to a family emergency. And still to this day, there is no details that have been reported.
I almost wonder sometimes with these rain-out broadcasts, these same guys from NASCAR, they'll string you along sometimes. It's like they know you're not gonna just watch and listen to them talk about bull crap. I almost wish they would like roll some old reels and just call them, old events or something, instead of just talking about. I don't even remember what they're really talking about.
Honestly, they were just killing time. I thought it was horrible, and I've had a few people comment on my previous video on Jason Anderson where we discussed the broadcast, and if you had Peacock, it was just glitching out, fading to black at times. Terrible. But going back to our recap, in qualifying, the riders only had 8 minutes per session because of the whole weather delay. 250, we saw Haiden Deegan arrive in his jailbird fashion attire, quite the showman, and he was, bragging off with his red plate. 450, we saw Chase Sexton, no bueno, was not looking good. Malcolm Stewart, very fast. Ken Roxon was looking quite weak, but we do know he has a shoulder injury, which as of yesterday was officially confirmed as they checked it with an MRI. And currently the red plate holder is Cooper Webb, so Yamaha Star Racing is on top.
Nothing new. I'm glad to see Coop holding the plate because I want, Sexton should be winning it, right? Let's be honest. But the pressure, the mind control of Cooper and the weak, I guess, kind of mind. I keep saying that, but who knows really with Chase is just that pressure gets to him. So, it's his to really get, but Cooper's going to not make it easy.
Moving along to the heats, 250 Heat 1, Cody Schock took the lead, and Shimoda was looking good out there, holding second place for quite a bit. Juju was doing his best to get up there, but seemed to be struggling. Triumph seemed to have the hardest time out of all of them out there.
All of a sudden, Triumph is really struggling. Faulkner, we know he's had his issues, but, none of the riders really are. They are all in the LCQ, and, it seemed like they were doing pretty good, honestly, I thought, at the beginning of the year.
In 250 Heat 2, Deegan took the whole shot while rocking his new attire that he changed into for the evening event. So, evening attire. Still in jail prison themed, causing the fans to go wild. Jordan Smith and Michael Mosman had a collision and clipped each other, and then we also saw a crash with Deegan and Davies. At the checkered flag, Cole Davies took the win.
That was actually a pretty scary crash for Jordan Smith. The whole time we were all like, hopefully he doesn't slap the ground and hurt a rib, because those take a lot longer than people think to actually heal fully. But if you watch that crash in slow-mo, he gets uppercutted by the front wheel of Mosman. So that's pretty crazy. It's just the guy can't win. That was the only really good rider that Triumph had. So, Faulkner's good, but, the results aren't there. So Smith going down again, that's tough for Triumph. And Jordan to come back a little early because, he is their only top 5 rider, top 3 rider, guy that could maybe get a win.
450 Heat 1, the big boys. Right off the rip, Kyle Chiz and Malcolm Stewart Mookie had a bit of a pileup, and at one point, Chisholm looked like he was riding a bull and eventually flopped off. Meanwhile, the American cowboy,
let's go, boy,
Aaron Plessinger, got the whole shot, and Sexton riding a bit sassy, making passes. At one point, the rider who is retiring this year, Suzuki number 11, Kyle Chisholm, seemed to have been missing, and on the leaderboard, it showed he was 6 laps down. But then the broadcast showing Chiz, he was off the track backstage behind the pits watching, holding his wrist and squeezing his fingers. Meanwhile, AP held on as much as he could and took the victory win in first place.
AP's really been pulling the whole shots lately, making KTM look good. And poor Chiz, yeah, he's been hitting the ground quite a bit for an old guy. But the last couple races, he's been getting bucked around.
What? Old guy? Come on. He's like dirt nasty.
Bro, it hurts me every time he talks. It really does.
Get a Ricola. Grow up. 450 Heat 2, Justin Cooper rocketed out and took the whole shot, but next thing you knew, he was battling a bit with his teammate Cooper Webb. We saw Christian Craig return from his ACL surgery and from coaching Haiden Deegan, and J. Coop held strong, took the win.
So glad to see Cooper getting some wins. All them hole shots kind of finally paying off. If he could really just get those whoops down a little bit more. These whoops didn't matter because it was like right out of a turn. They were short, it looked like. So good for him to win.
Does this heat win count for, if you know, you know, with his wife? Oh! LCQ. Due to crashes, both Jordan Smith and Kyle Chiz had to redeem themselves in the LCQ races, and both made it through to the main event.
I thought that was a little dangerous for Jordan. I mean, obviously he had to do it, but it looked a little sketchy in the first couple turns because, I mean, let's face it, those LCQ boys, they bang bars. And I just wincing for Smith the whole time with those ribs.
So let's get into the main events. 250, Juju and Cole Davies, they went back and forth with a battle at the start. Deegan went down in the turn, flopped, and had a total of 2 crashes in just the first lap. Jordan Smith hanging back in 20th place, obviously not feeling good. Beaumer doing well in second with a 3-second gap. Deegan in 6th with 10 minutes left to go, 9 seconds behind the leader, who was Davies. Joe and Deegan did have a little battle for 5th, and I found it funny and unusual because usually in the live chat we have people looking for info on Enzo Lopes, and no one was talking about Enzo at all, and he was back in 7th place. And towards the end, Jordan Smith was definitely hurting with a lap behind at 6 minutes left in the race.
It was tough to see Shock go down the way he did. He was in 3rd or 4th place and ended up going into a tough block. So, yeah, going a lap down in the end after having a good finish in the first heat for him. He would have had a decent night overall. And then Deegan and Shimoda battling back and forth for a lap or two. That was impressive. And who would have thought that it would have been Joe giving Deegan so far the hardest hit back? We'll talk about that more in a little bit, but it's good to see somebody actually hitting him back. And hey, you never know. It might be one of those quiet guys, real quiet guys, that actually give Deegan the sauce.
So in this household, it's pretty tough when it comes to this so-called feud, because I love Haiden Deegan, but I really do like Juju. So it's hard, because Nitty Gritty Garage, I feel like I feel like you're more of a Juju fan. But in that sense, how do you think his riding was? Do you think he is fully recovered from his previous injury, or he still has some improvement to do?
Yeah, it seems like something was a little off. I mean, he was riding definitely good, but he faded off there in the end. Marchbanks is good. He was blitzing the whoops basically the whole thing. He was getting a little wiry at some points, but he was going for it. And Cole Davies, I mean, he just took the lead and ended up just piling on that lead while everyone else was just banging bars and flopping around. So Marchbanks did his job for sure. Had a good race. But I think something was off with Juju a little bit. He just kept getting past. And on the last note, besides the drama, it's kind of crazy only to see 6 bikes on the lead lap. It was like a 50-something second lap time or something like that. Pretty crazy.
Don't worry, we'll get to the hot topic and hot tea that everybody wants to talk about. At the end of the 250 main event, you see Davies and Deegan hug it out, showing great sportsmanship and team support. So that was really nice to see that they get along really, really well. And then going to the 450 main event.
Old Coop got the whole shot. Kenny was right behind him in second, pushing pretty hard. And Justin Cooper was sitting there in 3rd. I think Sexton was 4th.
Man, Kickstart Kenny was leading. And then Webb was his, kryptonite just on his back fender. But that was shocking to see him going so fast leading with a really bad shoulder injury. That all of a sudden, like the last bit of the evening, he's got energy.
And Sexton got up to third place with like 9 minutes left while Webb and Kenny were banging bars. And then next thing you know, Sexton, 2 for 1, passes him within that minute, right around 8 minutes. Sexton just passes them both.
But how about Ferrandis? No one really was talking about him. He didn't get much acknowledgement, but he kept it together, and he was in the top 10, and then at the final lap, he was, I believe, top 5.
I always liked Dylan. Dylan was a good guy. I always hoped that he did a little bit better in the Supercross. He did good in the outdoor his rookie year. Switching to that team, I mean, it's always tough going to a lower team, but kind of thought he'd do better there.
And Plessinger, he did quite awesome this weekend. I would say solid.
Cowboy's been solid all year. Just a cowboy, I guess. You can lean on him when you gotta.
Okay.
Well,
And I guess this is kind of random, but where do we think Jason Anderson would have landed if he did race?
probably usual Jason Anderson range. I'd say 4 to 7, somewhere in there. I mean, it's kind of a loose track, so maybe he would be up a little higher, but I'd say the usual area, 4 to 7.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty straight on, because I was going to say probably 5th. He hasn't been strong or focused lately. Obviously, something's been going on and heavy on him. So we hope the best for him and his family, whatever it is they're going through.
So Webb ended up taking the lead back from Sexton, and it went into a battle into the last turn. And it was a nice inside block, as you're supposed to do if you want to hold the lead. Make the guy go outside. And Sexton didn't even try to go outside, so Sexton held the win. And that leads us right into our hot topic of the race. Juju and Haiden Deegan. Should Juju have blocked the inside harder or what?
I think Juju's choice and how he rode and what decisions he made was fate's way of just having the race go, because he kind of went into this knowing there was some shit with Deegan, but nothing really popped off yet. So, but that moment, that anxiety just like on his shoulders, I'm sure was just creeping on him. And Deegan, his style is just to freaking go for it. He doesn't care who's in the way. You could be enticing him with all his favorite things. If his eyes and heart is set on that trophy, that's what he's going for. And if you're in the way of that, you better watch out.
And the problem I think I'm starting to have, I was just starting to really like Deegan. Like, even if I didn't like him, I respected him because he is a good rider. But I'll make the stupid NASCAR reference as usual. You can't always be the aggressive guy that's just dumping people. You can't just always be hitting people 100% of the time. Like the number 100, his teammate, he hit him. You could tell that time when he took out Davies, or hit him, scooted him out of the way.
Go to hell.
And took the win from Davies before. Davies didn't want to give him the high five at the end. Deegan's like, come on, bro, I had to. And he kind of gave him daps, but
let's go.
He didn't want to. It's going to get old for people, and like I said before, it's good to see Joe giving him a little bit, but someone's going to end up just teeing him up. And you know how it goes. You could just flop at any time in a bike race and hurt your wrist or whatever. And he keeps hitting people. And when someone decides to return a favor, it might be actually bad. Who knows how it might go. And even if it's a wrist or a leg, I feel like they're going to probably bitch about it and say he's never hurt anybody, but he's dumped quite a bit of people and hit people, and you never know what's going to happen when you're on a motorcycle and you fall over.
I get it about safety and everything, but when your adrenaline's rushing and the blood is flowing, I don't know. I don't know if they can just change their thought and their riding process in the moment. And also, it's kind of like NASCAR, where, they get all crazy about the bumps and those little side taps and spin outs. Like Joey Logano, he has done it himself multiple times, But when it's happening to him, oh my God, is it a problem?
Well, that's what hopefully we might find out if someone really, well, if they can catch him, right? Into a turn, if they just, like I said, tee him up. Screw it. This guy does it to everybody. He deserves one. Especially if it's someone's like first win or something, or just like Juju's sick of getting hit by him, or maybe Cole wants to hit him back. It's going to happen. You just can't, like I said, you can't just be aggressive all. This was only a third. You've already made a good comeback. You've hit this guy so many times already. I feel like they've already banged bars and kind of done this thing back and forth. Like, good for Juju. He's pretty much a class act, I think. The whole address thing, only super fans and weirdos really care about that, and like those people are probably more the YouTube fans and stuff like that, to be honest. Like, no one really cares about the address. All the people that live in that town know that he lives there. So, who cares? And like I said, Juju kind of said he deleted stuff, did whatever. He's getting poked all the time. Basically his whole career. They've known each other for a long time. Like I said, I still have no hard feelings against Deegan. But, I mean, like I said, if you're going to be aggressive 100% of the time, you're going to start pissing people off. You still can't just laugh and shake their hand and say that's good racing. Just because you're on the winning end.
True. Gonna catch me riding dirty. Gonna catch me riding dirty. Oh, wait, they did. Last weekend. Sorry. The blunt's kind of hitting. But yeah, there's got to be a little bit of rivalry. It's entertainment. I know people don't like hearing that. It's kind of a sore spot right now. People are saying they don't want it to turn into the WWE, and we all don't want that. I don't know what Deegan was thinking in the moment with that little slap. It's like a love tap, and everybody's saying it's a bitch slap, but it wasn't. It wasn't even. Come on. But what gets me is you hear him saying, "Don't touch my helmet. Don't touch my helmet." My whole thing is, if he's not really that aggressive of a personality, which I really don't think he is, don't try to act it, because it just does not look good. It doesn't work.
That's like I said before. He was raised around bros, and that whole idea of got to keep it real, which I understand that. Like, at some point, you always got to keep it real, no matter if you get your ass kicked or whatever. But like you said, you can tell he's never probably really been in a real argument. He probably didn't really know. Maybe Juju snaps on me right now with this whole thing. But yeah, the whole check swing, like if you're going to do that, do it a little bit more. Literally, Juju didn't even flinch, blink, anything. It was like he didn't even know it happened if you really watch it. Usually you just get like a blink if you get like hit, like a little impact. There was nothing. I think Hayden's a good kid. He just had to keep it real. He knew there was eyes on him. Yeah, I guess a little drama, but like I said, he's gonna get a lot of enemies down just that he doesn't actually know of. There'll be a lot of smiles still, but like I said, he rides everybody hard. They're gonna make it harder for him. Like, he'd be a Vince Freezy if he wasn't good.
Ooh, I didn't even think that. Damn, that just made me lose exactly like what I was gonna say. We see his Instagram, how he was pretty much the babysitter for Christian Craig's kids, shopping with the little girl, and he had like Lindt chocolates in his basket. Yes, I noticed that, and I wish I had some right now. But he's a sweetheart, I think, honestly.
He's a good boy.
But don't get me wrong, he has that farmer boy like build. I think if he knew how to fight and he's throwing punches, I think he could knock someone the fuck out.
Yeah, and like that. I mean, we don't want to see actual fights, right? But that'd be interesting. I mean, Deegan, his old man, fought Dave Mirra. Look it up. That actually was kind of a decent fight. Dudes are both pretty cut up. So Juju's not a small boy, and like you said, Deegan's got like a husky build. But, I mean, you don't need to see young kids fighting if, they don't need to do that yet. Let's see them still rip it up on the track. But, like, these stupid little low blows and stuff.
Go to hell.
kind of dumb. Let's just see some good racing and not T-boning. Let's see some side-by-side for a half a lap, 2 laps, you know?
Deegan just has to stay as himself. He's not bad boy material, I don't think, honestly. But with his brand being Danger Boy, he still is pretty dangerous. He rides dangerous. That's his whole thing.
Like Freezy.
But also, don't mess with Juju. Don't think he's, just a little nothing, because he's got that gangster look. He has them eyes that just look up like, don't fuck with me. Don't do it, bro. And then he has that little smile. But overall, it was quite a crazy Seattle evening. I didn't even think they were really going to focus doing and grabbing each other's helmets, which they got fined for. But damn, did it make good TV.
Yep, actually decent race. Track held up better than I thought it was gonna, with you seen the little standing water puddles and everything. Yeah, it did up pretty good.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on episode 5, covering Seattle and all the hot topics. We will see you in another episode next week, and hopefully you are with us for Supercross Saturday. Happy Supercross! Make sure you get her a pup cup. In Maine, her pup cup has a donut.
A blueberry glaze.
Ooh, what are you, a munchkin?
A munchkin?
Look at him mouth. Oh! Okay.